Miami Dolphins safety Michael Thomas was asked about Donald Trump's statements in regard to those who refused to stand for the national anthem. And he got incredibly emotional as he talked about his family. Take a look.
I'm gonna tell you my first thoughts, but it just amazes me with everything else that's going on in this world, especially involving the U.S. That's what you're concerned about, my man. You're the leader of the free world. This what you talking about. So it. As a man, as a father, as an African-American man, as somebody in the NFL, as one of those sons of bitches, you know, like, yeah, I took it personally, but at the same time, like I said in my Twitter post, it's bigger than me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bigger than me. I got a daughter. She's gonna have to live in this world. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to make sure, you know, she can look at my dad, look at her dad, and be like, "Hey, you did something. You tried to make a change." You feel me?
That's right. You had any football questions? You're good?
Yeah, so Michael Thomas was one of the guys who originally took a knee. He took a knee last year along with Kaepernick. So he's one of the leaders of this movement. And so that's why when Trump said those sons of bitches who wouldn't stand for a flag, in a sense, he was talking directly about Michael Thomas. I'm sure he doesn't know Michael Thomas. He probably heard about Kaepernick, but not about Thomas. And it's a weird thing, the media, like, you know, they get obsessed with Kaepernick, and I get it, and we've talked a lot about Kaepernick, but then other people take a knee and they're like, okay, whatever, that's just a secondary story, so we're not gonna talk about Michael Thomas or Bennett or all these other guys who did it. Anyway, so that's why they were asking him, because if Trump was talking about anybody that's in the league, he was talking about this guy. And he had, what he referred to earlier there was when he wrote on social media, this is bigger than us. Meaning, say that the idea of justice when it comes to police brutality and police violence against unarmed black men is an issue bigger than a football player. He's just trying to put a spotlight on it. And of course, because of Trump's overreaction, now this is spread like wildfire. We had the first baseball player take a knee just yesterday, I believe, last night. And now some of his white teammates said they're going to take a knee, or at least one of them said they're going to take a knee with him tonight.
That's awesome.
And it's spread to the owners, it's spread to everybody now. And God bless Michael Thomas for being one of the leaders in that. And of course, the most powerful part was when he was talking about his daughter. And if you didn't hear exactly what he was saying, because he broke up a little bit there, he said, you know, what if she asked me, Daddy, what did you do when it mattered, and did you try to make a change? And he did, and that's a hell of a thing to be able to tell your kids, when it mattered, I stood up, or in this case, took a knee.
Yeah, I think that, and by the way, this is speculation on my part. I have no idea what's going on in his head, but he kind of lost his composure when he started thinking about his family, when he started thinking about his daughter, and it made me realize something I've always known, but I think sometimes we forget about it. Everyone wants the same thing, regardless of what your ethnic, background is, regardless of where you live in the country or what your political affiliation is. We all want a better world for our families. And the world that he sees is one where his peers are murdered in an unjustified way, without any weapons on them, without any wrongdoing. Or with some wrongdoing, but certainly nothing that warrants extrajudicial killings, right? And so he wants a better world for his kids, for his family. And I'm sure seeing the kind of stuff that you see in the news on a regular basis worries him just as much as it worries us. So
yeah, no, and worries him probably more, because we don't have African American kids. And so yes, it's now happening to all the races, and I think police overreaction and police training is wrong, unfortunately, throughout the country. But if you see Tamir Rice being shot in 2 seconds flat when he was 12-year-old African-American kid, and you got a 5-year-old daughter, as he said, and one day soon she'll be 12, and if nobody's gonna bother asking her anything and they're just gonna pull up and shoot her,
yeah,
boy, you would be very, very concerned. So just for 1 second, think about if you were in their shoes, if you're not African-American. And you see another story in Ohio, a guy in Walmart walking around with a toy gun from the Walmart because he was shopping. Cops come up, also shoot within 2 seconds. They don't ask questions. And boom, he goes down and he dies. And it's happened over and over again. And yes, the statistics bear out that it happens disproportionately to African Americans. So we've got to get better police training. We can't have them shooting at first sight. And now, you see it happening to all the races, but more so to African Americans. And so if you're an African American like Michael Thomas, it might be a matter of life and death for you or for your kids to take a stand now. And so he did so bravely all the way back to last year when it was a very unpopular thing to do, at least according to the press. And he took that chance, and now a lot of people have joined him, and that's what bravery is all about. Help us build independent media. Become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.